Hollywood's golden age looked flawless on the surface: red carpets, flashing cameras, and romance that felt larger than life. But behind the polished studio gates and carefully managed publicity, many stars were living lives far more complicated than the characters they portrayed. Studios controlled every detail of their actors' images. Marriages were arranged, rumors were buried, and interviews were scripted. For some of Hollywood's biggest leading men, survival depended on secrecy. Rock Hudson was the definition of the perfect 1950s leading man. Starring opposite Doris Day and Elizabeth Taylor, and backed by Universal Pictures, he became the face of American romance. Tall, handsome, and charming, Hudson represented everything audiences adored. But executives knew the truth they feared would ruin him. He was gay. To silence speculation, he entered a brief marriage arranged to protect his public image. For years, Hudson maintained private relationships while presenting a carefully crafted persona. In 1984, when he announced he had AIDS, it shocked the world. His death in 1985 changed how Hollywood and America viewed both the epidemic and the lives of closeted stars. Montgomery Clift brought emotional depth to films like A Place in the Sun and From Here to Eternity. His vulnerability on screen was revolutionary, but off-screen he battled inner conflict about his identity. Clift had relationships with both men and women, struggling to reconcile his private life with Hollywood's rigid expectations. After a devastating car accident in 1956, where Elizabeth Taylor famously helped save him, he became dependent on alcohol and pills. His health declined, roles disappeared, and he died at just 45. His story remains one of immense talent overshadowed by personal pain. Then there was Liberace, who transformed piano performance into pure spectacle. Covered in rhinestones and draped in capes, he built a glittering empire in Las Vegas. His style seemed to shout what he publicly denied. Despite obvious flamboyance, Liberace insisted he was heterosexual and even sued publications that suggested otherwise. Behind the scenes, he maintained long-term relationships, including one that later sparked a public lawsuit. When he died in 1987 from AIDS-related complications, the truth could no longer be avoided. Yet many fans had long suspected and loved him regardless. On television, Cesar Romero became unforgettable as the Joker in Batman 1966. Marketed as a Latin lover and lifelong bachelor, Romero carefully avoided marriage while appearing at premieres with glamorous actresses. Insiders understood his private life, but Romero mastered the art of discretion. He never publicly addressed speculation, maintaining control over his narrative until his death in 1994. Perhaps one of the most elaborate public fictions belonged to Raymond Burr, star of Perry Mason. Burr told journalists that his wife and son had died in a tragic plane crash, creating a heartbreaking story that explained his solitary life. The tragedy, however, never happened. In reality, Burr shared decades with his partner Robert Benavides. When Burr died in 1993, Benavides inherited his estate, confirming what had long been whispered in Hollywood circles. Comedy favorite Paul Lynde, known for Hollywood Squares, used humor as both shield and spotlight. His flamboyant wit was unmistakable, yet nothing was openly discussed. Audiences laughed, but Lynde privately struggled with loneliness and alcoholism. Hollywood allowed him to be exaggerated for laughs, just not honest. He died in 1982, remembered for his comedy but marked by isolation. In Britain, legendary actor John Gielgud faced scandal in 1953 after an arrest in a public restroom sting. The incident could have ended his career. Instead, audiences gave him a standing ovation at his next performance. Gielgud continued acting for decades, eventually earning an Academy Award and solidifying his reputation as one of the greatest stage performers of the 20th century. Silent film icon Rudolph Valentino inspired hysteria and controversy. His sensual performances captivated audiences, but critics questioned his masculinity. A harsh editorial mocked him publicly, reflecting cultural anxieties of the era. When Valentino died suddenly at 31, massive crowds mourned him, proving that mystery sometimes outlives truth. These stars were not simply hiding secrets. They were navigating an industry built on illusion. Hollywood demanded perfection, and any deviation from its narrow standards could mean exile. Behind every glamorous premiere stood human beings balancing fame with fear. Their stories reveal not scandal, but survival, proof that sometimes the greatest performance happens off-screen.